Recently, I had to go to Toronto to visit Jay to get his opinion on the Cayin CS120 tube integrated amp. Now, for those of you who have not seen the video, I'll link it in the first comment. So, just before I left for Toronto, an audio buddy of mine, Mr. Wilson, I call him Mr. Wilson because he owns a pair of Wilson Sabrina, asked if I can help him bring over a Technics SL-1200 GR turntable. Sure, I had no problem doing that. Now, when my other audio buddy, Mr. Kanta, found out, he asked me, Thomas, would you review the SL-1200? I was like, why? I just got it today and I'm leaving for Toronto the day after, so I don't really have time to listen to it. Mr. Kanta told me, dude, this is the legendary SL-1200 GR that has a 40-year history. He knew about this turntable when he was a kid, and at one point it apparently was a great DJ turntable. Mr. Kanta then told me that it's quite popular, this turntable, and it is so good you need to spend more than double the price to get better sound. Also, this turntable has an upgraded Denon cartridge, so the sound quality is even better than stock. Now here is the problem. I know nothing about turntables. Sure, I've listened to some high-end turntable setups, as well as owned very nice turntables like the Marantz TT15, but I am no way experienced enough to review a good turntable. But when Mr. Kanta said the magic word, legendary, yes, legendary, I have to listen to it. So I told Mr. Kanta that it would not be fair to review it after only listening to it for a few hours, but I wanted to do an experiment. At my home, I have a few CD players and DACs, so let me show you a picture of it. And I'll explain at the end of the video why I started collecting CD players. The big question I always had was, if I took the best CD player and DAC at my place, can it keep up with the legendary turntable? Well, this legendary turntable. Aren't you curious? I know many of you think turntables are the best, but a bit of common sense is needed. A $300 turntable would not outperform a $100,000 DAC. If you think so, I have a bridge to sell you in audio fantasy land. So today, my friends, I am going to share with you a silly experiment I did recently. I compared the Technics SL-1200 GR to Denafrips Venus 2, the Cayin CS100CD player, and the Cayin CS55CD player. Yeah, I was slightly surprised by the outcome. Now, before we continue, check out my new Cayin channel where I'll be posting videos on how the TS120 sounded with the Wilson Sabrina and so forth. Back to the comparison. I used the Mcintosh MAC6700 with the turntable, and I paired it with my Silverline Sonata. On the right corner, we have the Technics SL-1200 GR turntable, a $1,700 direct drive turntable, and the cartridge is the 680 Denon DL103R MC cartridge. It's around $2,500. On the left corner, we have the $3,000 Denafrips Venus 2 R2R DAC. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Denafrips brand, so I will not spend time on this. Next, we have the 1,100 USD Cayin CS55CD tube CD player. This CD player uses one 12AU7, and if you want it with USB output, so you can use it as a DAC, it will be around $1,500. Now, when I first got this CD player, I felt it had that Cayin bright, lively house sound. I remember lending it to Mr. Kanta, and he told me, he doesn't care much for it. He told me, whatever. However, just before he returned it to me, he decided to change the tube, and it changed the sound completely. From, I don't care, to, oh my gosh, I can't stop listening to it, because now it sounds so smooth and musical. I have to say, changing tubes made a big difference with this CD player. Now, I also lent it to my other audio buddy, Mr. Multi-System. He told me, man, you just forget about listening to the system with the CD player. Instead, you just listen to the music. He had to listen to his whole CD collection with this Cayin CD player. And he borrowed my CD player for months. Now, usually the good stuff, I have to ask to get it back. For the normal stuff, my audio buddies would automatically return it. In fact, they will want it out of the house as soon as possible to declutter their home. In short, if you're shopping for a CD player that offers flexibility with the sound, not analytical sounding after tube rolling, check out this Cayin CS55. Next, we have the Cayin 2800 CS100CD player. This CD player uses two PCM1792 DAC chip from Texas Instruments and has 4 tubes, 6922. Balance output, from what I read, it is a fully balanced design. I remember a while ago, my audio buddy Mr. Quat was quite impressed with this CD player. At the time, he was testing a lot of those $1,000 DAC for me, and the first day he tried this CD player, he told me, yeah man, we're moving to another level with this CD player. I never had the urge to change the tubes because it sounded really good with the tubes they sent me. Now that I think about it, I don't think there were Cayin tubes inside. In short, a really clear yet analog sounding CD player. So, how does it all compare? Well, keep in mind we did this test for just one evening with only one song. And the reason is because of time, and also I only have a few albums on digital, vinyl, and CD. In this case, Jennifer Warner's famous Blue Raincoat album. And the song we've chosen was Bird on a Wire. Now for those who don't follow me, I have maybe 7 turntables in my life, and my current turntable is the Riga P3 and Fluence RT85. As much as I appreciate these turntables, I never had that urge to listen to them frequently because although I never A/B tested it against my DACs, I never felt those turntables are better than my DACs. Sure, I do get that, wow, it is a nice feeling whenever I use the turntables, but for the trouble setting it up, it's not worth my time because unlike many of you, my setup changes almost daily. Now, when I first dropped the needle on this Technics turntable, I have to say I was really impressed. The mids were so smooth that I felt this is a sound I wouldn't mind going through the trouble or setting it up frequently. Absolutely no hard edges whatsoever. I don't hear any variation in speed, rock solid, and above all, I noticed the bass sounds like there is more extended reverb compared to what I'm used to. Okay, maybe reverb is not the right word, but I can feel the hollowness of the drums more than what I am used to. It felt more palpable. It was more fun. Those two things caught my attention, and although I would not say it has a legendary sound, it sounded really, really pleasant. The first CD player I A/B tested against was the Cayin CS55CD. First thing I noticed was the mid-range was edgy, relatively speaking. You know, before this comparison, I never for once thought the CS55CD is not smooth in the mid-range. In fact, as I said, once you change the tubes on it, the mid-range will sound pretty smooth. So it was slightly surprising that in an A/B test against this turntable, yeah, it sounded edgier. The bass is good with the CS55, but compared to the turntable, you can tell it does not have the same feel. In short, although the CS55CD is really good, there was a gap between that and the turntable. Then I put the Cayin CS100CD player. This time, interestingly, the CD player is on par with the turntable in terms of mid-range. I was expecting the turntable to be way better, but the difference is not big enough that I'm able to pick it up just like that. This was quite surprising for me because my bias was towards the turntable. I thought the mid-range would be more rounder, but both were very close. The bass, on the other hand, yeah, the CD player still cannot create that turntable feel. Having said that, 95% there. In short, both are equally good and each has its strength. Finally, the Denafrips Venus 2. I remember a while ago, my audio buddy Mr. Vintage told me the Denafrips reminded him of listening to vinyl, and I can understand why. The mid is slightly more forward with the Denafrips. But just like the Cayin CD player, there are no rough edges. Bass, once again, is 95% there. Still does not have that 100% vinyl feel, but unless you do A/B tests or you have the years of Superman, it would be hard to tell. In short, I think if you want a DAC that sounds close to a turntable, the Denafrips Venus 2 would be a DAC you should look into. Now, Mr. Cantor and I were chatting after the test, and we noticed that the Cayin CS100 and the Denafrips are probably on par for that one song. Of course, things might change if we tested more songs and also if we actually spend real time with it. However, Thomas Stereo is, just me telling you stories of my hi-fi venture. So don't take what I said today too seriously. It's too bad after I did this test, I got my hands on this little $400 Cayin CD player. Surprisingly warm sounding and on the darker side. Great match with a lively setup for long listening session. Now if you want me to review this little small CD player, please leave a comment. So a question for you, do you think CD is still relevant? What CD player do you still use? For those who were into vinyl before and now into digital, what DAC or CD player you found were able to replace your turntable? Now, for those still using turntable, why not go digital? Finally, if you enjoy me just sharing stories, let me know. So let's wrap it up now. The reason why I collect CD players is because of my friend who owns this $30,000 esoteric CD player. I remember the first time listening to it, I was so blown away, it left a strong impression on me. And ever since then, I kept trying to find a good CD player, hoping I would be able to find that magic again. Wishful thinking, yes. I don't know if it's because I bypassed the computer. Whenever I use a CD player, it just sounds a bit more quiet, maybe darker background. I don't know, but something is slightly different. Or maybe it's all in my head, placebo. Either way, if you're shopping for a budget CD player, check out the Cayin Mini CD or the IOTA MP3. For higher performance, the two other Cayin CD player I've mentioned are pretty good. Or if you can get a used Moon Supernova CD player, that's really good too. Finally, that Technics SL-1200 GR was really to my taste. That mid-range liquid smoothness was just fantastic. Now I've recorded a sound demo for all three players and I will link it in the first description. I've created a separate video for it, so this video does not get demonetized. Alright guys, till next time.